What's up, everybody? Welcome back to All Things Nerdy. Today we have a very, very special guest. Going to have a very interesting topic, something that he's super knowledgeable about, unlike Batman versus Superman. Anyways, we're going to be talking about the world of smoking meat. We're going to be talking about some brisket, some ribs, some just all kinds of things. And this is something I'm super passionate about, so I cannot wait to get into it. So without further ado, Joe.
Yep. I wouldn't say I'm super passionate about smoking meat, but I am super passionate about eating food, so also super excited. But anyway, without further ado, Steven, talk nerdy to us.
Hey guys, Steven Evans here in Richmond. Recruiter, just made friends with Joe and Nate. But yeah, I started smoking meat years ago. Just it's kind of what I do. I got tired of paying a bunch of money to go get a pound of brisket for $20 and just started figuring it out my own kind of and started running with it from there.
So sorry to jump into your intro here, but the price of barbecue is outrageous these days. It literally hurts me to go like to a barbecue place, and because it's just good barbecue, right? It's not even the best, and bro, it's so expensive.
Yeah, it's insane. When you see it, it's insane. But I guess you can rationalize it just because the time that they have to put into smoking, but at mass production levels, but still, I think the best barbecue place in Richmond, I think a pound of brisket's $20, maybe more.
Man. So in like
it's
New
cooked,
Orleans,
not just buying it at the store.
yeah. In New Orleans, where I'm at, like you don't even get a pound. So it's like you can do like a 2-meat platter, right? And you can get like brisket, and it's like $23.99. And it's only like 2 little slices each. So you're getting like 4 thin slices of brisket for like $24. It's wild.
Yeah, that's kind of where I started going down that road. It's just, and then you can kind of customize stuff how you like it, which has been my battle of smoking meat. It's like how I like to make stuff is determined mainly by my wife. So she does not like the char, which most people generally like. So I'd be very cognizant. No. I know, right? I'd be very cognizant of like how I make stuff.
That hurts me. I don't even know how to react. You should have told me that before, so I could have been prepared.
But she also contradicts herself. So she hates brisket, but she loves beef ribs. Which they're basically the same thing.
Yeah, I'm at a loss. I don't even know what's happening. Like that. Just I'm very confused about what's happening.
She doesn't like burnt things. It's dumb, but yeah.
So let's start at the very beginning. Talk to us about your rig. What do you got? What do you like? How do you work it?
So I started off just on the classic Weber charcoal, and then messed with a few different techniques of snake method, offset, center. Like there's a bunch of different ways. I ended up doing offset, which used to be really ghetto. So I basically shoved on my charcoal to one side of the grill, and then I found bricks in my backyard and used the bricks to hold the charcoal in one position. Water pan, drip pan, whatever, cider pan, whatever you want it. And then on top of the charcoal, just drop the wood down, and then from there you just monitor it. The change was getting an actual thermometer for a meat probe and a thermometer to monitor the temp of the grill, because that's the hardest part. Is just temp regulation. Unless you're a cheater and use an electric grill, which I use now.
I was going to say.
Go ahead, Jeff.
No, I was like, I am a cheater.
I mean, hey, don't get me wrong. Like that's super convenient because like you can type in 250, set it and forget it, and not even think twice about it.
Yeah, and I think that is a thing, right? So when you're jumping into the world of smoking meat, the amount of information that is out there is overwhelming. You have different kinds of wood, different techniques, different grills. Like you got eggs, you got Traegers, you got pellet, you got wood like chunks. Like there's so much stuff to it. I used a little grill for a long time, like a just traditional Weber. I would do like the offset. I didn't even have like the smoke chute for like the release. I just opened up the top a little bit.
Yeah, that's what I did.
Yeah. However, have a Traeger pellet smoker now, and it is just so much easier. I'm like that. I fill it up. I set it to like 225, 230, and I go from there. However, I will say, even with that, it fluctuates a good bit. So like every once in a while, like, so I have a Bluetooth thermometer that, like, will send signals to my phone, and like I can set like if it hits this temp, alert me. If it drops to this temp, alert me. And like every once in a while, my phone go off, and I'll be like, oh man. So I got to go out there. I got to lift open the lid, see what's happening, and then like it drops low, and I shut it real quick. I'm like, no, come on.
Yeah, but so what's your range of that you leave it in, of like your acceptable range?
So it depends on what I'm smoking, but so let's talk about the holy grail of smokes, right? So the brisket. Yeah. So with the brisket, I'm okay anywhere from like 225 to 235. I don't want it over 220 or over 235, and I don't really. I can go to 220, but I don't want it under 220.
See, okay. So I think that's where people get confused or nervous about smoking meat, is like thinking it's more complicated than it is. It's like literally just time. Like you can probably go 210 to 260 or higher and be fine. It's just think about like holistically, like a graph. As long as you're generally in this, I guess an average is probably the best way to think about it. So as long as it's an average, you're generally fine. Like I think my range is like 25 degrees. It's like, cool, man. Like my max was like 250, 251. All right, cool. Like I don't have to sweat it. It's like, let's keep an eye on it, see what happens. Like that's kind of how I operate. I'm like, it's like the KISS method. It's not super complicated. Like just let it ride. Like that's what it is. Like you can fast smoke a brisket at 300 as long as you know what you're doing. The most important thing is the meat temp.
Yeah, the fat's got to break down. There's a lot to it.
2 or 3 is your magic number in brisket.
Yeah, so I usually cook my brisket. So I'll go to Costco. They have great briskets, by the way. Little plug there for Costco. We're not sponsored. I wish we were. Costco, I love you. Anyways, they have fantastic briskets, and they'll do the whole thing. You'll have the point and the flat. What's that called? I can't think of what that's called right now. Anyways,
full packer brisket.
Yeah, the full packer, right? So I do that, and it usually takes me anywhere from like 11 to 12 hours to smoke it at like 225.
Yeah, that's this time is your
12 hours.
Dude, I've had stuff go for 16 hours before.
16 hours, man. I'm hungry now. Like
so that's why you got to plan it out. Like
tomorrow.
Well, I think a lot of times when people panic and have a bad time smoking meat is like, they're like, cool, dinner's at 7:00. Like, cool, like this, and they do a quick math equation of like, this brisket's going to take me 12 hours. If I start smoking at 7:00 the night before, I'll be fine. But then you don't really give yourself any leeway.
Yeah.
I always factor in an extra. Well, I factor in trying to be done 2 to 3 hours beforehand. Because I generally just throw whatever I smoked into a cooler with a towel and just leave it, because it'll stay there and stay warm for multiple hours.
Yeah.
Plus, you can't hold meat at like 200 degrees. Like you're going to burn your fingers off.
Yeah. Well, and you got to rest, right? Like that. Okay, we're getting way ahead of ourselves. I'm getting hungry. I'm thinking about resting brisket. Like, man, like that rest, like it's like an hour, 2 hours, So like you're like starving, and it's like, anyways. So let's go back. So we talked about your rig. Now you have an electric and all that. Welcome to the lazy world. It's nice. What is your favorite thing to smoke?
Probably tri-tip. My second favorite would probably be spare ribs. I'm not a big fan of baby backs.
Okay. Fun little take there. Joe, what about you? Have you smoked anything?
No. I'm more of a let me grill it now kind of thing versus waiting 16 hours for something. But I'll eat it. I did look up like the price of like brisket because I was getting super hungry. It's like $25 per pound at the closest place. I'm like, yeah, that's what they were talking about.
Yeah.
I looked it up too. It's $32 a year.
However, if you go to Costco, it's $3.99 a pound. Boom. We got to cook it. So
wow.
I'm going to send this to Costco, see if we can get sponsored. Anyways,
Costco is a good spot for meat. I'll say that.
My favorite thing to smoke is brisket, hands down, not even close. There is nothing else that even rivals it at all. And also, fun fact,
Beef
the
ribs.
well, I'm talking like just what I enjoy smoking. I think I've only smoked beef ribs one time, and they turned out pretty good. But from like beginning to end, I love brisket. It is just a whole adventure, trimming it, getting it ready. Like I'm a binder, get like mustard, and like I love it. I do my own seasoning. I don't use pre-made, right? Like I will mix my own salt, pepper, a little bit of garlic powder, stuff like that. I'm a Dalmatian rub guy. I'm a
I've never
traditionalist.
heard that before.
I'm a
Dalmatian rub?
traditionalist.
What is that?
Dalmatian
Dalmatian
salt and
rub
pepper
is
looks like a Dalmatian.
Yeah, just salt and pepper, and then I add garlic powder because garlic makes everything better. Let's be serious, guys. And that is what I do. So brisket, and fun fact, brisket is the first thing I ever smoked. So I just like jumped in. Like I had my Traeger for one day, and I said, I'm going to go get a brisket. And I did, and it was not great. It was a little dry, and by a little dry, it was super dry. But I learned, and that's all that mattered.
That's ambitious.
Yeah, I would not recommend starting with brisket. It's really expensive if you mess it up.
There?
No, Joe, that was the second or third time that I'd smoked brisket.
I think the hardest part about brisket is learning how to trim it.
So that is a whole different thing. Like learning the proper amount of meat to cut off, not meat, fat to cut off, because you want like a quarter inch, things like that. But it's not super even. Like I watch all these pro butchers like trim it, and it looks beautiful. There's no like divots. It's just smooth. Bro, I do it. I got like a patch of meat showing here, patch of meat showing there. The last brisket I cooked, I cut a little too much fat off the sides, so I trimmed one off and I just stuck it on there.
Like even then, like you can just smoke it. It'll be fine as long as you let the meat get to the right temp.
Yeah. And the right temp for brisket is 203. Although I will say a lot of people have been coming out and saying like 203 is not as important as like probe tender and like the jiggle, the wiggle, and stuff like that. Although I do usually stick to 203.
I think those are all kind of the same thing. It just depends on how people like to look at it. Like I have a buddy where he'll probe it, and he starts texting me getting annoyed. He's like, "The flat's tending or probing tender, but the point isn't." I'm like, well, no kidding, man. Like the flat's the flat. The point's like this. Like, just move your meat so the point's closer to the heat. Like, what do you want me to tell you? Well, yeah, if you 2 or 3 is like the measure, because that's scientifically that's when the fat's rendered down, and then once the fat's rendered down, then it should theoretically jiggle.
Yeah. So walk us through your process. Say you got a brisket in front of you, start to finish. What are you doing?
I mean, I'd probably trim it way less than most people. Get the decal out, clean it up a little bit. Just get like the super fatty parts off. It's a fatty part that connects the point to the flat that's in between the two muscles. And the fat's a very hard fat. And if you get it, you can poke it and tell it's a different kind of fat. And it doesn't taste good. And it just like.
It does not render. Like it can get softer, but it does not fully render.
It's super chewy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I just trim it up, season it, let it chill. I do no binder.
You do no binder. Oh my gosh.
If I do a binder, it's olive oil. Like,
really?
I like to let the meat speak for itself.
So a binder adds no flavor. Well, I guess maybe some binders do, but like mustard. So I'm a mustard binder person, although I want to try mayo. I have seen some like rave reviews about mayo as a binder recently, and I never really thought about mayo. In my opinion, like, there's a bunch of eggs, but it is high in fat, right? Mayo is. So you got to think when it melts and everything, all that is going into the meat. However, mustard has no flavor. It literally just helps crisp and, tighten up your bark. But it adds, like, you get no mustard flavor. You get nothing but the meat.
The assumption that most people talk about, like, sort of beef, you don't need binder because of the blood operates as a binder. Pork, you generally need a binder because you need stuff to stick to that muscle. So if you pull a brisket straight out of the packet, like, there's all the blood there. So generally you can use that as your binder instead of using something else.
Yeah. Usually by the time I trim it and everything, my hands have been all over it and stuff. It's just easy. Mustard, slather, call it a day.
Well, my brisket, I try to copy the Messiah, Aaron Franklin. So
What about like
Okay.
barbecue sauce? Does you not slather anything barbecue sauce? You use mustard?
First off, Joe, don't.
No,
Joe,
you don't do that. If you want barbecue
Joe.
sauce, you do it after the fact.
I mean, you gotta have the barbecue sauce on there, right?
No, Joe, you don't.
That's after the fact.
Not even after the
Sidebar.
fact. No, if you put barbecue sauce on my brisket, I will kick you out of my house. You are not welcome in my house if you put barbecue sauce on my brisket. I don't care who you are. I don't care where you're from. You can be Kansas City where sauce is king, which I think is like lower tier barbecue, but whatever. We won't get into that. We can, but we won't. We don't have to. Anyways, if you put sauce on my brisket, get out of my house.
What if it's like jalapeno
No,
flavored
Joe.
barbecue sauce?
No,
Like
no, I don't care. I don't care. No, definitely not. If you disrespect my brisket or whatever I smoke, you are not welcome in my house.
What about ketchup?
Joe's trying to. Joe's taking
Nathan has
a
left
page out of
the
my book. Joe's taking my Superman page.
Sidebar, Stephanie says, I was surprised by the lack of flavor of mustard as a binder. That is surprising because mustard has a very strong taste, so it just goes away.
Yeah, I mean, it literally just dissipates. Like, it does nothing but
it's
help
not enough.
bind your seasoning to the meat. Like, it adds no flavor or anything. It just helps your seasonings adhere to the meat while it cooks.
Yeah, like think about putting mustard on your sandwich and putting as little mustard as possible to get a slight yellow tint on your bread. That's how much you use.
Yeah. I mean, really, you could use a ton if you wanted to. It's just gonna cook out. You're not gonna taste any of it, especially if you like as heavily as you have to season a brisket. Like, still, that's not coming through. You're gonna get the seasoning, you're gonna get the smoke, you're gonna get the flavor of the brisket way before you get any mustard. If somebody like tasted my brisket and was like, "Oh, I taste mustard," I'd be like, "F no, you don't."
What if they dipped it in mustard, Nate?
Joe, we don't have to keep doing this. All right, like
Those people like mustard or not.
Like, I'm a sauce
So,
guy. Like,
that's one thing
matter
I've been
if
playing
it's
with is making sauces.
I'm traveling a lot. Everybody knows that right now. I'm in Fort Wayne, Indiana, staying with my buddies. Colin, shout out to you, bro. Appreciate you letting me use your office. Anyways, we grilled burgers yesterday, and I was like, well, what are we gonna do for like condiments? And we're like, we have ketchup and mustard. I was like, I'm gonna make us a burger sauce. Give me a second. I pulled out mayo, ketchup, Worcestershire. I put in some pickle juice, salt, or not salt. I put pepper. I put garlic powder. And so from being from Louisiana, I got to throw that hot sauce in there. So we threw some hot sauce in it, mixed it up. Bro, it was so good. So good. So I love sauces, although I'm not a huge fan of barbecue sauce. It's just not my thing.
Is it the Kansas City barbecue sauce or just barbecue sauce in general?
Just barbecue sauce in general. I think so. Barbecue sauce has such a distinctive flavor. Even if you branch out and get some of these fancy, like hippie style barbecues where they're like adding in weird things and stuff, I just think it takes away so much flavor of the meat. And if I'm spending $100 on, brisket, or even if it's beef ribs, the only thing I will put barbecue sauce on would be like pork ribs, right? And even then, it is just a maybe. Most of the time, I would probably just eat like a dry rub over a barbecue sauce ribs.
What about pulled pork?
So pulled pork is different. Pulled pork on a sandwich, I can do barbecue sauce. Now, if it's pulled pork like just on a plate, I will just eat the pulled pork as is and stuff like that. But like if it has bread sandwich, then I think the sauce makes the bread more palatable. But I'm also one of those weird people. Like if I'm eating a burger, I take like 2 bites with the bun, then I take off the bun and just eat the meat.
No, I don't know.
No.
Yeah.
My wife does that a lot. She'll just like, no, I'm done with this bread after a bite or two and just eat the inside. And it's like, why did you even get a burger? Like,
yeah. Sauces are good. It's just usually pulled pork, they go with it. It's also a good way to hide a messed up pork sandwich.
Yeah. I will tell you one of the best pulled porks I ever had was not even from like a barbecue restaurant. It was from a place that I worked years and years ago in Illinois. they were like the two chefs came from the French Laundry. I'm not going to name drop them because I haven't talked to them in years. They might, I don't know if they like it. They're probably never see it. Anyways, they came from the French Laundry, and they did a pulled pork with a blue cheese coleslaw. I'm not even a blue cheese person, but I could just like destroy this coleslaw. But they didn't put barbecue sauce on it. That coleslaw was kind of like almost like the condiment. It was wet enough and everything. Oh, so good.
See, that's what's weird about barbecue is like regionally it changes region to region. So my hometown, there's a barbecue place that's been around since like the 70s, and they mastered this sauce. It's like a hybrid of Carolina and Kansas City barbecue, and it's delicious.
So for our listeners, real quick, you have Texas style barbecue, which is a lot of salt and pepper. It lets the meat speak for itself. You have Kansas City, which is sauce heavy. You have Memphis, ketchup based. Yeah, that's very important to distinguish. And then Memphis, you have dry rub. And then like Charleston or South Carolina, North Carolina, just vinegar based. It is heavy, heavy vinegar. I actually went to school at the College of Charleston. So I've had a lot of Charleston style barbecue or
vinegar's the way to go.
South Carolina. It is not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Kevin chiming in. I'm salivating here. My brother would do pulled pork with scratch coleslaw. Okay, I've honestly never thought of putting coleslaw on it. Or
really?
Maybe
it must be East Coast
blue cheese, not with blue cheese, but maybe I'll try it with regular coleslaw.
I mean, I think coleslaw just allows you to not drench it in barbecue sauce, right? It adds that wetness that you need to that sandwich in order to get through the bread and everything like that. But I don't think you need slaw on just like a pulled pork. Like if I would pulled pork and just put it on a plate, I don't want coleslaw on it. But that something with that bread, that coleslaw just helps it.
Adds crunch too, I would assume, right?
What'd you say?
It would add a crunch too, right?
Yeah, it's like crisp.
Yeah, and fresh. Like you got to have the fresh made from scratch. Like I don't want I want made like right in front of me style coleslaw.
Just pull the table up right beside Nate and throw it all together like it's guacamole or something.
That's not a bad idea.
It wouldn't bother me. I'd watch it later.
Mayonnaise, salt, peppers.
Yeah.
So I used to have to make the coleslaw when I worked at a restaurant when I was like 15 or 16. It was a lot of mayonnaise and a lot of pepper, that's for sure.
So I'm in Fort Wayne, like I said. Last night we played a game called By Felicia. And I don't know if y'all ever played it. We won't get deep into it. But basically it's a category thing where whoever's turn it is reads out a category, and then you have to write everything down, and you go in a circle until you mention that someone doesn't have something, and if the other people don't have it, then you're out, right? And one of the things were sides at a barbecue. So I mean, I know we're getting away from just smoked meats to kind of barbecue.
Yeah, it's a curious thing. Like you have to incorporate it. Sides, mac and cheese. So I guess you technically can smoke.
Let's do top three. Let's just do top three so we limit it a little bit. All right. What's your top three?
Pickles, mac and cheese, beans.
Joe?
I definitely have to say the mac and cheese and beans. I'm trying to think of a third one. Like if I'm going to a barbecue, I'm not going to do a lot of sides. Maybe some kind of chips, something like that, because I'm going to probably gorge myself and get myself sick on the meat, and then maybe have some sides. But maybe chips is the number three.
For me, it's potato salad, which I'm disappointed neither one of you mentioned, but that's fine. Potato salad, right? And you can do mustard or mayo. It does not matter. Potato salad is delicious in every form of itself. So potato salad. And then I think corn is up there. Something about a grilled or even just like a smoked corn. Man, that is hard to be. Yes, sir. Oh, my God.
A little char. Oh. Have you done it where you pull the husk down and then butter the corn and pull the husk back up and then grill the corn in the husk?
So I always grill the corn in the husk. The corn never comes out of the husk. Like I don't do the pull down butter and then grill. I literally just husk on the grill.
Butter and salt in the husk.
I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna try. See, that's why I'm glad we did this. Oh my God, I just learned something.
The corn just cooks in butter and salt. Like how could that be bad?
Yeah, and then oddly enough, one of my favorite things on the grill, and I was shocked because no one else said this, so I want to get y'all's take. Maybe I'm just a weirdo. I absolutely love asparagus on a grill.
Ooh,
like I don't None of them wrote it down. I was out because I said asparagus. I just wanted to find new friends at that point. I thought about leaving my wife. I was like, what in the world?
I will say, like, if I'm grilling hamburgers or chicken or anything like that, like, I will throw some asparagus on there, like, 9 times out of 10. Like, when I'm thinking, like,
salt, pepper,
like pulled pork and stuff, I don't really think asparagus, but, like, as a typical staple of just grilling, 100%.
Yeah, always.
So, Stephen, what's your favorite thing to grill? Have we already talked about this? What is your favorite thing to grill?
My favorite thing to grill? Ooh. I like just smoking big cuts of meat. It's easier if you get like 1 3-pound steak versus like 3 1-pound steaks. It's a lot easier to control the quality, and then you just slice it up and everyone can eat. It's so much easier than like trying to make 3 1-pound cuts of steak like all finished at the same time at the correct doneness and all that. Because
so I love food.
You love food.
Go ahead.
I'll just say because like if you can't handle like a medium to a medium rare steak, like you shouldn't be eating steak.
Yes. Oh my God. We can be such good friends. Anyways, so I absolutely love food, so I'm having a hard time not going down rabbit holes. So Joe, if you have any questions, feel free to jump in there because I was gonna be like, how do you cook your steak? What is your favorite steak preparation? But I'm like, wait, no, the topic is like smoking meats. I'm just like avoiding going down rabbit holes. So,
have you done the poor man's ribeye?
So I've done the poor man's brisket. I have not done a poor man.
So take the chuck roast and then break it down along that line of fat, and you essentially get a fillet and a mini ribeye.
Okay. So I will tell you.
And one of them, I forget what the other one is.
So this is going to be a hot take, and I'm sure nobody in the comments is going to appreciate this. I do not grill steaks. I am a cast iron steak cooker through and through. I will not grill a steak. I won't do it. Like I can have 10 people at my house and they all like, I want ribeyes. I will take the time to cook each one of them in my cast irons, whether I got to, like mix and mash to make them fit. And I'm not going to like, cram it. Don't get me wrong, but I will not grill
if
a
you
steak.
have 10 people that want ribeye, why not go get a rib roast and then just smoke a rib roast? Because it's basically the same thing.
Well, I mean, I haven't had that situation. I'm saying if that was to happen.
Sous chef, I'm getting a tongue twisted. Sous chef Nate over here.
Yeah, just because that's what we do for every Christmas Eve. I take a rib roast and smoke a rib roast for everybody.
Yeah.
Kevin with the King of the Hill. Asked him well done. We asked him politely and firmly to leave.
Hank Hill, the man. So propane and propane accessories.
Confession, my wife likes her steak well done, and it's something that we pretty much every time we argue about. I'm like, why are you like this?
Does she like her chicken medium rare?
So my thing is, if you're gonna ruin a steak, and that's what your wife's doing, why pay for a steak? Why not just get a hamburger? Why not get something that can be cooked like that? Although you still should not cook a hamburger well done. Other than like a smash burger, which those would just be hard to tempt. But either way, a burger should still be like medium. But nonetheless, if you're going to get well done, just get a burger and save $20. What are you doing?
Steak tastes better.
Or take some ground beef and make it shaped like a steak.
There you go. Anything. Hamburger steak.
See if I can slide it past you next time we grill steaks.
Probably
like, why does mine look different? It doesn't. It doesn't. Oh.
So back on the top of the smoked meats before we keep going down this, talk to us about the importance of resting. And that's not even just smoked meats, that's meats in general, but talk to us about resting.
Yeah, so it basically just lets all the juices get absorbed back into the meat. So like, I mean, it just, if you cut it and it's like steaming and juices are falling out, like you're just losing a ton of flavor. So basically my rule of thumb when it comes to resting is if I can touch it with my bare hands, it's done.
I can see that.
It's
So
a simple rule.
Like
mine
touch it and
minimal,
it, or just like
I can hold it and grab it and I can put my hand on it and cut it. But if it's like and it's still too hot for me to touch, like I should probably just let it chill some more.
So like brisket, my minimum is an hour. Like I pull it off, it goes into the cooler, and it's an hour. And that's only if I have people like, hey, we're hungry, we're ready to eat. Like, can we go ahead? Then we can make that work. But for the most part, the longer you let it rest, the better it's going to be because all the juice redistributes and everything like that versus you just losing it on your cutting board.
Way more
Oh,
tender.
yes.
It's so much better. Like I think this past Christmas Eve, I think I had our prime rib rest for like 2 or 3 hours.
So are you a big holiday smoker or you just be like, hey, it's Tuesday, I'm gonna smoke?
So if I'm smoking a big cut of meat, it's gonna be probably be on the weekend just because of the time commitment. But it's usually when like there's some kind of event going on where people are coming over because like that's part of the fun of smoking meats is like getting a bunch of people to come hang out with you. And I like to like basically run trials on all my friends on like something new I'm trying. So like, cause like I'm not going to smoke a 15-pound brisket and eat 15 pounds of brisket.
Ooh, good question coming in.
No.
No, I don't do that either.
Literally throw it, towels into a cooler, meat into the cooler, cover the meat with the towels, top on, done.
Yeah,
But
so I do that with like
could you
smoked
add a
meat.
stick of butter? Could you add a stick of butter? Like, what would that effect have on the meat as it's resting?
I don't think you'd gain anything.
Yeah, I don't think you would gain anything really from a flavor standpoint. If anything, when you put the stick of butter on there, you're gonna unwrap it from like the butcher paper or whatever you have it wrapped in to begin with. A lot of yes, I am. So with my brisket, right? I'm gonna get it to like 165, and then I'm gonna butcher paper wrap it and let it get to 203. Because you let the barks. Yeah, I mean, so all of my smoking is based off Texas. Like Texas is they do the best smoked meats. It's not even a competition.
When it comes to beef, yes, I'll give you that.
Oh, well, yeah. But so I think from a butter standpoint, like you're unwrapping it, you put the butter in there. If anything, when that butter starts to melt and start to run off, you're going to lose some of that seasoning. It's going to like soften up your crust a little bit, some of that bark. I just don't know if you'd really gain much from it.
Yeah, if you're trying to increase the flavor profile of the juiciness, like the orange juice is getting absorbed back into the meat to do all that, plus the steam that's inside the cooler.
Yeah.
I've never had any issues.
Although, don't get me wrong, Kevin, when I'm cooking a steak, cast iron, I'm basting with that butter, you know. Yes, sir. Baste. And I have rosemary, thyme, some garlic, just right here, baste all day. It's 2 minutes, 2 minutes baste, finish in the oven. Done.
French cuisine over here. Smoking meat's French cuisine.
Dude, so I absolutely love food. Y'all don't understand. I could do this 4 days. I love it. So let's talk about your sauce. So I know you're on the East Coast, right? Well, let's do 2 things. A, where do you get your meat from? Is it like a local butcher or do you go to like a store?
Costco.
Oh, you're Costco?
Yes. Unless I go to Kroger. So I've gone to Kroger before, and I think I got a brisket. So we're mainly Kroger people. So I'll scope it out, and if it's on sale, I'll buy it, throw it in the freezer. Like I think I got a brisket for like $2.99 or $3.99 a pound, and usually it's like $5.99. I just threw it in the freezer. But generally, if someone's saying like, "Let's smoke a brisket," I'll go to Costco and scope those bad boys out and see what they have.
So in New Orleans, it's $3.99 a pound at Costco. If you ever get it on sale, it's like $2.99 a pound. So definitely buy it, right? But Costco also does prime. I will never, and this is not like some kind of elitist thing. It is literally the quality of the meat. I think this matters more brisket than anything else. I would not ever buy a choice like brisket. It is just not worth it. It is not marbled well enough. It is no.
Yes, it is. That's why you scope out all the briskets. The whole purpose of smoking meat, if everyone listens, the whole purpose of smoking meat is to take a crappy, poopy piece of meat and make it taste good by taking your time with it. Like a pork shoulder, poopy piece of meat. Nobody goes like fancy restaurant like, let me get a slice of the pork shoulder steak. It's pulled pork. It's poopy meat that nobody wants. Well, tough if you want to use the right words, but that's what it is. So like choice, prime, whatever, doesn't matter. Like I've done prime, I've done choice. I really have not noticed a difference. Now, if you go to choice, I do say like you scope it out and look for marbling because the rating scale is so wide that doesn't really matter. Like you can find good marbling in a choice cut of meat.
I mean, you can, right? Well, whoa, sir,
yes.
calm down.
Yes.
No,
absolutely.
No, Joe, we got to start vetting people before we let them on the podcast.
I mean, we knew from the get-go with the whole Superman versus Batman thing, Steven was going to be a problem out here. So,
oh my gosh, this man is wild. You just live your life shooting from the hip. Like you just out here willy-nilly saying that choice could have more marbling than it is literally a grading system based off the marbling.
But Nate, I
see
see
the guys
in
the back are that. But yeah, like there's a wide range. Like if you can get a choice cut of meat that's almost prime, you're going to save $4 a pound, baby. Which, if you're buying a 15-pound brisket, that's where's some math people out there? Was that $40, $60 you just saved for something that's almost as good? And
so
if you're smoking your meat right, it doesn't matter.
It does matter.
Okay.
No, it doesn't.
He's saying that if you're skillful enough, Nate, apparently you're not, that you can take that same choice of meat and make it taste just as good, if not better.
The only reason you need to buy like the higher, the prime, the Wagyu style of meats is if you're grilling it, because then it does make a difference. So that's going to be medium to medium rare. If you're taking it and essentially roasting it low and slow, it shouldn't matter because you're going to get the fats to render down.
So like the Wagyu stuff for the steaks and everything, I get that completely. But for a brisket, and we've been mostly talking about brisket, like I think it does matter from so you can take a choice cut, especially if it's like you said, almost prime, right? If it's got good mark. So when you're doing choice cuts, you have to be real selective, right? And you are looking and picking because that marbling does matter, right? However, if you go prime, I am still very selective when I go to Costco and I'm looking at all their prime and stuff like that. Like I'm still very picky about the ones that I get. And there is a true difference in the tenderness and all of that inside of it. Now you can still make I've had some good choice briskets where I've been like, oh yeah, it's pretty good. It's not bad. But I have had some amazing. The what?
Do you know the fold test? Fold? Yeah. Like you just take a brisket and you hold it, and if it bends when it's cold, like it's generally good marbling. So if you can save $60 on a choice cut, that full is better than a prime cut. Why are you going to spend $60 extra bucks?
Well, so at Costco, it's only $3.99 a pound. It's really not like it is.
$3.99 for prime.
Yeah, at Costco in New Orleans. I don't know what it is for you, but in New Orleans, it's $3.99.
Prime, I'd probably guess is like $9.99 or $10.99 for prime, and then choice is probably like $4 to $5.99. So it's $5.
Jesus. So in that situation, yeah, maybe. But in New Orleans, Costco prime brisket $3.99 a pound. So like, there's no reason not to get that. And that's not on sale. That's their everyday price. It's been that price for the last like 3 years.
That's so cheap. Yeah, beef up here is expensive.
I get it, man.
Cost is here.
I wish I had my computer in front of me with me traveling so much, because I would be like going down a rabbit hole like Costco, brisket prices. There is a Costco right down the road from me where I'm at in Fort Wayne. I feel like I need to go over there and like slide through and look at their brisket.
Costco will deliver the meat to your house.
Really? I didn't know that. Dang. I don't know if they would in New Orleans. Like New Orleans, there's just a different breed down there, but maybe.
He's going to get Costco briskets delivered to his place in Spain. It's like, how much is shipping on this?
Just so you know, the closest Costco to me in Spain is like 2 hours. So, and yes, I've looked it up. No, it's not bad. I'll do like bi-weekly trips, maybe monthly trips, something like that. Yeah. So let's real quick. We ask this question every podcast episode, and we are a little over time, so I want to be respectful of your time. If you are just getting into smoking meat, and we've already mentioned that there is a plethora of so much information out there, just a ton of it. How do you start? What would you do?
I mean, the easiest is an electric smoker. The biggest thing is a meat thermometer, and those are probably the two biggest. Like if you want to go traditionalist, like just get a small Weber grill. You don't have to spend $1,500 on a grill to get going, but the electric stuff's easy peasy, set and forget it. That's basically where you get started, and then just start experimenting. Like there's so much stuff out there that you can figure out good ways to do it and a lot of information. I mean, especially meat probe or meat thermometer. Personally, I like Bluetooth ones so you don't have to like keep going out and checking it, like being super neurotic. But yeah, meat probe and then just learn what temp you need to take it to.
Do you know what kind of thermometer you have?
iWeber or the iGrill.
Micro? Okay.
Yeah, just
Uh,
2 probes. I have one for the temperature of the grill and then one that goes into the meat, and they both go to my phone. Just beep, beep.
I'm not 100% sure which one I have. It has 4 prongs that I get to stick in. So I'll do one in the grill. Depending on what I'm smoking, I'll put one in like if I'm cooking chicken, I'll put one in like, the breast, the thickest part, the thigh, whatever. And I mean, that's really about it. Well, no, you don't have to. I'm just saying if you're going to, that's what you would do, right?
Yeah.
So mine has like the 4, but I don't use all of them.
Yeah, there's 4.
Nice.
It's red. It's I think I got it for like $100. It's still $100, which is. But there's a lot of options. I'll just check the Bluetooth one so I don't have to like be super neurotic.
Yeah. And as far as your equipment goes, and we'll say if you do like the Weber thing, just mess with your fire for a little bit. Even if you like just go light one, try to maintain it for a little bit. Charcoal, yeah. If you've never lit charcoal, I didn't know this was an issue until I went to a friend's house a couple months ago, and he tried to light some charcoal for us. And bro, it's going south. I was like, wanted to help, but like I'm kind of a bulldozer in a kitchen and at a cookout. I hate being that way, but I'm just kind of like, hey, I got you. Let me do this. Excuse me.
I love charcoal too, not the briquettes if we're smoking.
Yeah. So like he was trying to light it and it was just awful. But I would even suggest like starting your fire and trying to maintain it for a little bit before you like throw any meat on there. Just learn how to operate your fire before you throw meat on it because you can ruin your meat quick.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry. My mind went together. But yeah.
Mine's going to go this whole time just
everybody's contraption operates differently. Just controlling airflow is the biggest part. But yeah. Thermometers also fix all that stuff. Well, not fix it, but help.
I think one of my best cooked meats or smoked meats after this is a spatchcock chicken. I love smoking spatchcock chickens. They smoke fairly quick. They're tender. They're juicy. You get the smoke flavor. The chicken just absorbs it. It's a good spatchcock chicken. It's hard to beat.
My brother-in-law loves doing the turkeys.
Quick. How quick is quick?
Well, it depends on the size of the bird. Yeah, just a couple hours.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
Chickens are easy.
Yeah.
Most poultry and stuff. Beef's the only stuff that really, well, actually, the bigger the cut of the meat, the longer it's going to take.
Yeah. Well, Stephen, man, we appreciate you jumping on here. I have so much more I want to talk about. We should just do like a food episode so I can just like ask all the questions.
We might need like 4 hours.
Yeah. I could talk about, and I know I was all over the place. I got excited. I try to keep this like kind of like as organized as possible, but I got so excited. I was just like, tell me everything you know. Yeah.
That's a lot.
All of your secrets, please.
Yes. Except for, your vinegar nonsense. Nobody wants that.
I need to get you this barbecue. Delicious. It's delicious.
I'm going to be on the East Coast here in a couple weeks, but where I'm going to be, it ain't going to be good barbecue. I'm going to be in New York. My wife's been like hyping up their pizza and all that stuff, so it won't be barbecue.
No. But country find some stuff maybe.
Yeah. Well, Joe, what were you saying?
I was saying also, man, and I was going to ask if he had any other questions for us before we hopped off.
I don't think I have anything outside of Superman over Batman.
We're definitely going to have to do like a whole nother episode for just that. Steven, what are you doing next week where we cover Superman versus Batman? To Nate's great pleasure, as you can tell by his face.
He looks so angry.
I don't get it. I
think this is a perfect place to end. So you guys have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, y'all. Take care.